Good evening, and welcome to the Brooklyn Bar Association Volunteer Lawyer Project Virtual Gala. My name is Lynn Judell, and I am proud to serve as chair of the VLP's Board of Directors. Tonight, while we join together in celebration, we must also acknowledge the current state of affairs within our country and around the world. Amid an ongoing global pandemic, rising inequality, and growing imbalance within the justice system, the challenges our communities face are overwhelming. It is therefore critical to ensure that the underserved and overlooked residents of Brooklyn receive the life-changing legal services the VLP provides. Legal services to help our fellow Brooklynites protect their families, their homes, their finances, as well as their communities. Later in the evening, you'll hear more specifically about the VLP's rapid response to COVID-19, our initiatives, our developing programs, and the integral role we continue to play in dismantling the systematic barriers in accessing justice and equality. From volunteer to board member, I've been a part of the VLP family for over 15 years. To stand here this evening with all of you celebrating the VLP's 30th anniversary is truly an honor. The growth of the organization is nothing short of remarkable, and yet, as our community continues to evolve, so too does the VLP. Brooklyn, however, runs through our core. In 1990, having witnessed growing disparities of legal resources and representation throughout Brooklyn's judicial system, attorneys in Brooklyn joined together in founding the VLP to help close the justice gap. Since inception, our mission has remained the same: to ensure that the legal system is accessible to those who, because of special needs or the overwhelming burden of poverty, would not otherwise have their rights protected or their voices heard. By recruiting and training and mentoring volunteer attorneys, the VLP leverages the private bar to provide compassionate, high-quality legal services to our clients. With your incredible support tonight, the VLP can continue its important mission and remain nimble and responsive to the evolving needs of Brooklyn's underserved communities. I applaud each of you for your generosity and, most important, your commitment to those in need and to equal justice. So to begin our program, I would like to recognize a group of generous companies and individuals that have been critical to the success of this event and to the VLP. First, a special thanks to this evening's amazing sponsors, with special recognition to our diamond sponsors, AIG, Gibson Dunn, and Quinn Emmanuel, and to our 30th anniversary champions, including DLA Piper, O'Melveny, and Weil. We are truly appreciative of your generosity. I'd also like to acknowledge some very special people who have made this evening possible. A heartfelt thank you to our amazing Gala Co-Chair Committee for your generous support and enthusiasm. Thank you for working with us over the course of many months to make this gala such a success. Thank you to our Gala Host Committee for their creativity, time, and support from beginning to end. Thank you also to the VLP Advisory Board, which provides strategic advice to the VLP, and for their contributions to tonight's event. And thank you to my fellow board members and to the Emeritus Board for their unwavering support of the VLP and the Brooklyn community. While it goes without saying, this night would not be possible without the strategic leadership of the co-chairs of the Board Development Committee, Adam Shepard and Caroline Conway, and the board. Thank you. I would also like to thank the VLP's wonderful and dedicated staff, whose unflappable commitment to providing the best possible legal assistance and support to our clients and volunteers inspires us all to do even more. A special thank you as well to Melissa Starr, VLP's Senior Director of Development and Strategic Initiatives, for all of her hard work on this event. And now, I'm delighted to introduce the Honorable Jonathan Lipman, former Chief Judge of the New York Court of Appeals and current of counsel in the New York office of Latham and Watkins, to deliver this evening's opening remarks. For a night dedicated to access to justice, civil legal services, and pro bono partnerships, there is no greater champion, advocate, and leader than Chief Judge Lipman to provide what will certainly be an inspiring address.
Thank you, Lynn, for those lovely introductory remarks. I'm delighted to speak tonight at the 30th Annual Gala of the Volunteer Lawyers Project. I'm particularly honored to be here with you, given VLP's importance in meeting the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic to the most vulnerable in our city, in Brooklyn, and in society. VLP's direct legal services to the disadvantaged, your innovative legal education and outreach programs in consumer debt, foreclosure, immigration, family and elder law, and the training and support of volunteer attorneys. All of this could not have more of a dramatic impact on those facing life-altering traumas resulting from a public health crisis that is unprecedented in modern times. In the 30 years that VLP has worked to ensure access to justice, the burdens of poverty have never been greater. Family breakdowns, overwhelming debt, immigration challenges, homelessness, and predatory practices that target the poor, the elderly, and the disabled are the order of the day. The VLP program is fundamental to the well-being of human beings in crisis. And your two honorees tonight so epitomize the dedication to the work of VLP and the role of attorneys and the responsibility of attorneys to ensure that everyone gets their day in court, regardless of the color of their skin or the amount of money in their pockets. I was privileged to be honored at this gala in 2016, and I know how much it means to Mike Leahy, Senior VP at AIG, and James Hallowell, Gibson, Dunn, and Crutcher. Mike Leahy and Jim Hallowell demonstrate every day what it means to be a lawyer. I was proud as Chief Judge to appoint Mike Leahy to the Commercial Division's Advisory Council, and his work on the group's ADR committee has been so critical to not only benefiting clients, but also ensuring that the courts are freed up to provide the resources necessary to help the litigants who VLP represents and who desperately need legal assistance in these perilous times. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Jim, for all that you do to help those in need and to support VLP. The message that I want to give all of you tonight is that now is the time for the profession and each of us to rise to the occasion when we are now confronted with the vast legal challenges before us. Our legal service providers are doing God's work, but they cannot do it alone. They need the resources that we can provide, and they need the ethos of pro bono publico to be followed by every lawyer, an ethos that goes back to biblical times. The Old Testament tells us, justice, justice shall you pursue, for rich and poor, high and low alike. This is what lawyers do. This is what Mike Leahy and Jim Hallowell do. This is what VLP has done each and every day for 30 years. And your work is so much more important at a time when our streets are filled with the voices of those seeking racial and economic justice, and for those without resources, the poor and the victims of injustice and discrimination. These are the people that VLP has served so selflessly for all these years. And now, in so many ways, the moment of truth has arrived. More than ever, all of these people need your help. I salute the VLP tonight for your 30 years of direct legal assistance to those most in need, for the training and the supervision of those members of the profession who volunteer to help, for your humanity that has literally saved so many human beings, regardless of their gender, ethnicity, and race or economic status. Those fighting for the necessities of life, who literally will fall off the proverbial cliff without a helping hand, and for stepping into the breach to fight tooth and nail for the legal rights of the thousands and thousands of souls who have been so dramatically impacted by COVID-19 in a public health crisis like no other we have faced in our lifetimes. There is so much more work yet to be done, but with the VLP setting the example for all, I have great confidence that one day soon we can achieve the ideal of equal justice for all people and for every human being who needs legal assistance to obtain the essentials of life, so that they can have the respect and the dignity that everyone is entitled to. With your help and all of us working together, we will get this done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Judge Lipman, for your inspiring words and your steadfast support of pro bono. And thank you to those who have joined us this evening as we celebrate 30 years of service in Brooklyn. I'm Terry Letica, a founding member of the VLP, now serving as founding emeritus board member. Our 30th anniversary has given me the occasion to look back and consider just how much has changed since our inception. In 1990, when we started the VLP, there were more than 600,000 people living in poverty in Brooklyn, and we were a fledgling organization with a handful of volunteers and a staff of 2. Since then, the VLP has grown to become one of the premier pro bono organizations in New York State and beyond, addressing the everyday as well as the emergent needs of Brooklyn's indigent population. Over the years, we expanded our original model of direct representation to include innovative clinical programming and courthouse-based initiatives, offering more service options to both our clients and volunteer lawyers alike. As the array of opportunities has grown, pro bono service has become mainstream. The current generation of practitioners has embraced pro bono, viewing it not merely as an obligation, but as a shared responsibility and an important part of the practice of law. Though many things have changed, much has stayed the same. Unfortunately, the number of indigent people remains high, and the attendant burdens of poverty are still with us. When you start an organization like the VLP, your hope is to become obsolete, to see the day when your services are no longer needed. We're not there yet, but we're going to keep on trying, because most importantly, our mission has stayed the same. We still believe in the power of the volunteer to have an impact, because at VLP we have seen it happen tens of thousands of times. A volunteer lawyer can mean the difference between a tragic outcome and a fighting chance. A volunteer lawyer is there to ensure that poverty doesn't prevent a person from securing his or her basic rights. Looking forward, I'm hopeful that a renewed focus on inequality might lead to lasting change as we continue our fight to level the playing field and secure equal access to justice for all. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Heidi Henderson, VLP President and CEO. Heidi, I hand it over to you.
Good evening. My name is Heidi Henderson, and as the VLP's President and CEO, I'd like to thank you for joining us here tonight as we celebrate our honorees, Michael Leahy and James Hallowell, in the VLP's 30th anniversary. We at the VLP are very proud of what we have accomplished together over the last 30 years, and we look forward to continuing to work together with you to accomplish even more. Brooklyn is a vibrant community, and the VLP has uniquely added to the rich fabric of our borough for 3 decades. As you've heard, the VLP was born out of necessity. There was a need for free legal services in Brooklyn and volunteer attorneys willing to help. The VLP was formed at a time when pro bono organizations did not really exist, and the pro bono model was untested and new. The VLP was a true pioneer and leader by successfully developing a pro bono program that is unique and responsive to our community needs. And as a result, we've helped tens of thousands of Brooklyn residents over the years with their critical legal needs. From our start, the VLP's pro bono model has been the bedrock of our services. We recruit, train, mentor, and support our volunteers to ensure the best outcomes for our clients. Our pro bono model allows us to expand our reach to as many Brooklynites as possible. From law students to solo practitioners to in-house corporate counsel and to major law firms, our dedicated volunteers partner with us to provide expert, compassionate legal services. By creatively forging new partnerships, the VLP continues to be responsive and nimble to the evolving legal needs of our community. As you'll hear more from our honorees, our partnership with AIG and Gibson Dunn on consumer debt matters exemplifies how our work positively impacts and strengthens the lives of our clients, our volunteers, and our community. The AIG Gibson Dunn Partnership Project illustrates the VLP's creative approach to expanding our volunteer base and providing meaningful pro bono opportunities to attorneys throughout New York City. The VLP's consumer debt initiatives remain high in demand as a result of COVID-19, and we are so grateful to Mike, Jim, and their teams for their ongoing commitment to this critical work. Brooklyn has been the epicenter of the COVID crisis, and the need for our services has never been more acute. The COVID-19 pandemic and the ensuing economic, social, and health crisis has had the most devastating impact on our clients, who are Black, Latinx, people of color, and mostly women and mothers. Black and Latinx Brooklynites were more likely to be essential frontline workers and live in neighborhoods with high rates of COVID infection. The hardest hit by the crisis have been women of color. 70% of jobs lost have been held by women of color, and almost 80% of those jobs had salaries under $60,000 a year. Structural racism and systemic oppression ensured the greatest impact of COVID-19 was felt in communities of color, and that impact will be felt for years to come. Our clients have been and will continue to be affected significantly, both personally and economically, as a result of COVID-19. With the sudden loss of income for many clients, we expect to see an increase in the rate of foreclosures, bankruptcies, consumer debt, and divorce in Brooklyn, making our work even more critical. The VLP's services can ensure that families and communities in Brooklyn have access to justice, their voices heard, and their rights protected, providing economic security, family stability, and safe housing. True to our roots, when we saw a need in the community as a result of COVID-19, we took action. In response to the pandemic, we evaluated how best to extend our programming and provide legal assistance for Brooklyn communities that remain marginalized and overlooked. As a result, we launched 2 new COVID-19 response initiatives, the VLP COVID-19 Frontline Workers Initiative and the VLP Probate Initiative. These initiatives recognize the sacrifice of Essential Frontline 1199 SEIU United Healthcare Workers East, the largest healthcare union in the nation. Union members are on the front lines of COVID-19 and as a result at most risk of infection and death. The VLP COVID-19 Frontline Workers Initiative demonstrates the nimbleness of the VLP, as well as our reliance on the private bar. We are humbled by our immediate outpouring of assistance from our pro bono partnering law firm, Aiken Gump. Without hesitation, Aiken Gump embraced the opportunity to join us and prepare our free life planning documents for $11.99 members, providing much needed and deserved security for our frontline heroes. And now, for a conversation in the spirit of pro bono, I'm happy to introduce Ann O'Grady, VLP's pro bono director, Richard Kubiak, a VLP volunteer attorney from Aiken Gump, and Teresa Flanagan, an 1199 union member, frontline hero, and VLP client who received assistance through our COVID-19 Frontline Workers Initiative.
Thank you so much, Heidi, and good evening, everyone. My name is Ann O'Grady, and as the VLP's Pro Bono Director, I'm delighted to be with you all, celebrating our inspiring honorees and the VLP's 30th anniversary. I'm joined tonight by two incredible individuals, Teresa Flanagan and Richard Kubiak. And in honor of Pro Bono Week, we are here together to have an open conversation about how volunteering with the VLP goes beyond the volunteer hours, impacting the lives of those who are most in need of assistance. And as we all know, and as you've heard tonight, in light of COVID-19, the legal challenges are not only great, but evolving within our community. And so, Teresa and Richard, before we discuss and dive into how you were paired together through the VLP's COVID-19 Frontline Workers Project, Teresa, as a healthcare professional, you've always been essential, but now more than ever, as a result of COVID-19, that stands true. What have these past months been like for you?
It's been a very, to be honest with you, frightening time to be a healthcare worker. And I'm very dedicated to what I do, and I'm very dedicated to the patients I take care of. But it was scary to know that you could be exposed to this virus. And at the time that it first started, we really had no idea how to treat it, and was still learning a lot. So it was scary, and it was, of course, my care remained the same. But I just had that in the back of my head. This is a scary time, and this is a scary thing that's happening, and it could affect me greatly.
You're literally on the front lines every day, risking your life in the service of others. You're a real hero.
Thank you.
Is this perhaps the reason why you began considering the need to plan for your future and obtain documents like a will and power of attorney?
Absolutely. I've been tested 3 times for COVID because I had symptoms. So that was very scary. And so I started talking to my sons about it and telling them, if I wind up in the hospital and I can't speak for myself, this is what I want to happen. Those are difficult discussions. It was not easy for them to have. But I knew we have to be prepared. So once I heard about this, that I could get assistance with these documents, and in that case, a healthcare proxy, because one of my sons was like taking notes, tell me exactly what you want, and he typed it up, and I was like, wait, we need a legal document. But it was certainly good that he had the list. But it definitely inspired me to say, okay, I have to take a look at this. And then I heard about it almost immediately after me and my sons were talking about these things, and was so thrilled that I could, have this opportunity to get that assistance to have those documents during, especially this time.
Well, we've been thrilled to work with you. As a result of COVID-19, during a time when there's so much uncertainty, so much loss, so much heartache, when so many lives have and continue to be affected, the VLP extended our services and challenged ourselves to do even more. And that's how the VLP COVID-19 Frontline Workers Initiative formed, recognizing the sacrifice and dedication of 1199 SEIU Healthcare Workers East members like you, Teresa, and in collaboration with pro bono partnering law firm Aiken Gump. Richard, can you share with us how you first heard about the pro bono opportunity with the VLP?
I became involved in the Frontline Workers Initiative in much of a similar way that I become involved in any pro bono opportunity. I first heard about it through an email from Lauren Connell, who is Aiken Gump's pro bono counsel. It was about a month after everybody in our office started working remotely that she sent out an email saying that an opportunity would be forthcoming to assist the frontline workers in drafting their life planning documents.
Teresa, when you were first matched with your Aiken Gump pro bono attorneys, did you have any expectations about how you would work together?
Well, I had no idea what it would be like, but I thought it would be pretty just cut and dried business. Let's get these tasks done. But it was quite the opposite. Both of them, Seth, Seth Luskin, He's an amazing guy. He's a really smart lawyer, and he really made me feel comfortable, as did Richard. And I felt so they really made me feel like calm about the whole subject matter, which I found out as I was doing it is not like a closing on a house, because it's like, this is your life and this is for when you pass, for your family. So, you know, it's not as easy a topic as I would have expected it to be once I was doing, you know, discussing it with them. But they both made me feel so comfortable. It was a very compassionate tone, which I did not expect. Um, they genuinely seem to care about me and my sons in terms of for this to be done correctly and properly, and to want to help me because with the because of the work that I do, which is just, I just think that's tremendously kind and decent and inspiring for me.
I'm so happy you had such a great experience. Richard, in working with Teresa, how beneficial was it to have the mentorship and guidance of Aiken Gun partner Seth Slotkin, who assisted on this case, as well as the VLP?
So having Seth's guidance and mentorship throughout this process has really been instrumental. I started my legal career in the fall of last year, so I'm currently in my second year of legal practice, and my primary practice area is actually corporate law. So without Seth, I would have been flying in the dark on a lot of this in terms of substantively what to look for and how to ensure that the client's needs, and in this case, Teresa's needs in particular, are being met and that they're best for not only her, but for her sons as well, and the rest of her family. His guidance in that way was very important. In terms of what the VLP provided, I think it's similar on that substantive front to what Seth provided, where it's just from the training to the precedent materials that were provided, it's just making sure that I'm on the right path and that I'm best serving the clients in the ways that they need to be served. So for me, even though I didn't have experience, by the time I was done with the training that I think was over an hour long and walked through all the various life planning documents and explained the nuances to them, I really felt comfortable with the subject matter. And I knew that even though I wasn't familiar, that this is a challenge that I could take on and I'd be able to help out in hopefully a small way.
Well, we think it's a big way. Thank you. And Richard, what would you say is most compelling about assisting frontline heroes like Teresa with the preparation of their life planning documents? And why do you think this is so important, especially in light of the current pandemic?
Right. The most compelling part for me about being involved in assisting on this initiative in particular has to do with the fact that it's in light of the ongoing pandemic. And it was March 16th that Aiken's offices across the country closed down. So really from that point forward, many of us, all of us, were working from our apartments, our houses, or wherever it was that we were living. And to be honest, our situation, we were very fortunate in that we were protected from the dangers of the virus. But this was really a helpless situation in that at times it felt like there was no direct contribution being made to rise to the challenges, for me personally anyways, that the pandemic was creating. But when I saw this opportunity that Lauren shared to work with you at the VLP and to work with Teresa, it really gave me a sense of feeling like I was contributing to overcoming the challenges before us, and that was a really great opportunity that I really cherish. And then, just related to that, I think just building relationships, not only in the context of the pandemic, but that will last hopefully for the years and decades to come, where, if Teresa ever has a life planning document question, to the extent that I can be there, I think it's great to build that relationship and know that I can be there and serve her in whatever ways she needs going forward. So those were just really driving factors in getting involved on this project in particular.
That's wonderful. Teresa, focusing on the importance of these documents for those who have thought about it, but for whatever reason, maybe they're intimidated, they don't know what to expect, they're unsure. What can you share about your experience with the VLP that could encourage others to obtain these documents for themselves?
Well, when I heard about this from one of the 1199 union reps, I was a little anxious, like, do I want to do this? Who will these lawyers be? How is this all going to work? And then I contacted you. I contacted I contacted your organization, the VLP, and you are a tremendous ambassador for this program, in that you made me feel very comfortable about what was going to be happening. It made it not intimidating, that I was going to be talking to an attorney about this, and you really streamlined the whole process for me and made it comfortable for me to move forward on this. And then, as I said before, and I thank you for that. And as I said before, then once I was introduced to Seth and Richard, they also made it so comfortable, so welcoming, and made me so grateful that I had decided to do it, even though I was a little anxious about it, and that, as Richard just said about that, they will, if I need to ask them a question, or, with regards to the documents later on, we discussed that, Richard and I, about that I could come back and ask a question. And that's incredible too. That's what we would call in medicine continuity of care. And that's heartwarming to know that they're still there even later on if I needed any assistance in that way.
Richard, at each point that Teresa and I have been in touch, she can't help but rave about you and how grateful she is. And I find it so touching that there's such a bond that's been created. What's your reaction when you hear something like this?
I think when I hear it, to be honest, to hear about Teresa's perspective on the interactions is a bit surprising, only in the sense that with the systems that Aiken has in place and that the VLP has in place, it really doesn't feel like the services that we provide have required us to take on some additional challenge beyond our capabilities. So I guess to put that differently, it feels like a small act. So it's really fulfilling and rewarding to hear that the impact that it has on Teresa is much bigger than what feels like the small acts that we're providing. And it's also, I think, a really important reminder that the opportunity to provide these pro bono services may seem small from our perspective, in the sense that drafting life planning documents might not take months and months to do, and it might not be the biggest task, but the consequence that it has on an individual's life does have a big impact, which is very important and could help shape their futures and knowing what's next with regard to their own life planning.
Thank you, Richard. And Teresa, I'd like to direct the final question to you. How do you feel now? Most importantly, do you have a sense of relief or comfort knowing that you have a plan in place for you and for your sons?
Absolutely. It is an amazing feeling to have all of these things in place, your will, healthcare proxy, power of attorney. It's such a comforting feeling to know that I don't have to verbally or in some other way tell my children, what needs to happen, or if I were to be sick and couldn't make decisions for myself, this is what you would do, and this is, how you would manage my affairs. It's an incredible feeling to know that all of those things now are taken care of, and I don't have to worry about it, and they don't have to worry about what do I do if something bad happens, if I'm alive, but I can't speak for myself. And then also to know when I pass that, that they have instructions on how to, proceed after that. So, and They also added a letter among the documents, a little note to my sons, and it was a little note about instructions, and then it said, "I love you very much." That's so beautiful. I like got choked up when I read. I was like, "Oh my God, this is something they'll read later on." It's just very sweet. And the last thing I want to say about the attorneys is just as an aside, it was a lot of fun to talk to them. It was a lot of fun to talk to Richard, when you're dealing with these documents and, you're a little nervous thinking about all of this stuff and, you're able to have a little bit of levity while you're talking about it in a very professional way. But that's a really nice feature. And I certainly didn't expect to have anything like that. So that was awesome too.
Teresa, I'm so happy to hear that you have a sense of relief and that you shared some laughs with Richard and Seth along the way. And thank you, Richard, for providing that to Teresa. Teresa, you're a real hero, and we honor you, and we thank you for bravely standing at the front lines. And so I just want to thank you both, Richard and Teresa, for joining us here in this truly inspiring conversation. I know that's a long-lasting bond that you've formed, and the VLP is so proud. Thank you to those at home watching. I hope that you too are encouraged to do more, to stand together. The VLP is here for you. Please enjoy the rest of this evening's programming.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shamika Degay, and I'm an associate at the Carlyle Group and a proud member of the VLP family. I'm so excited to be here celebrating our fantastic honorees and the VLP's 30th anniversary. Tonight, I've been charged with two very important tasks. One, an announcement, and the other, a call to action. And so, let's begin with some much anticipated news. It is with great delight that I announce the formal launch of the VLP's Young Professionals Board. I'm so proud to be a part of this amazing group of VLP ambassadors. Later in the program, you'll have a chance to meet my fellow YPB co-chair and founding member, Emmanuel Fashkin Jr., who has been instrumental in spearheading this initiative. As our community continues to face new and devastating challenges as a result of COVID-19, the YPB stands firmly alongside the VLP, helping to advance the organization's mission and ensure the VLP can best serve the growing needs of the community during these challenging times. As we look ahead, the YPB will play a pivotal role in the VLP's future as critical partners to the board of directors and staff. We can't wait to engage more of our peers in meaningful pro bono activities and creative fundraising to help ensure the VLP remains on secure footing. And so, as my second charge for the night and my first big ask on behalf of the YPB, I call on each of us to support the VLP and those they serve by making a gift this evening. Let's help the VLP reach its $30,000 goal in celebration of the organization's 30th anniversary. Thanks to our Fundometer technology, giving via text message could not be any easier. As a result of COVID-19, more and more of our vulnerable community members and frontline heroes like Teresa are turning to the VLP for its essential legal services. The time is now. Please take out your phone and send a text message to 970-840-9000. In the message, write VLP space, the amount you wish to contribute, space, and then your name. Or, if you'd like to remain anonymous, simply leave that last part blank. And then press send. If you're viewing the gala on your phone, you can still text your support and return to the stream. You won't lose us. Or, if you'd like, send your text following the conclusion of this program. The Fundometer will still be active for 24 hours. Again, simply text 970-840-9000, and in the message write VLP space, the amount of your gift, space, and then your name, or leave the last part blank. As you can see, VLP board member and YPB mentor Adam Shepard has already kicked things off for us with a $3,500 donation. Thank you, Adam. And we've just learned Adam's gift has been matched dollar for dollar by his company, the Macquarie Group. Amazing. So we're on a roll. How quickly can we reach 30 donors for the VLP's 30th? Text now, don't wait. I'll give you a moment. And remember, a gift at any level will make a significant difference. This is absolutely fantastic. So many of you have already answered the call to give. Let's keep those donations coming and help the VLP reach its $30,000 goal tonight. Thank you so very much.
Turning to our awards program, it is my pleasure to present this year's Tradition of Excellence Award to Michael W. Leahy, Senior Vice President, Deputy General Counsel, and Head of Litigation for American International Group, otherwise referred to as AIG. Mike, as many of us know him, is a true leader in the legal profession and a role model for us all. He's an extraordinarily gifted and talented lawyer with superb judgment, high integrity, and deep intellect. Mike's legal accomplishments in themselves are worthy of great praise, but it is his fierce advocacy and long-standing commitment to equal justice that we recognize and celebrate tonight. To the VLP, Mike, his family, we owe a great deal of thanks to our advisory board member, Stephen Younger, who initially introduced us to Mike over 2 years ago. It was obvious from our first meeting that Mike and the VLP were a match. His dedication to the public interest, access to justice, and his desire to help his neighbors in Brooklyn propelled the conversation and immediately welcomed opportunities for a deeper partnership. As a friend and as a board member, Mike has not only extended his own time, but he has enthusiastically encouraged and recruited members of his AIG team and others to engage in pro bono opportunities with the VLP. Again, this is simply who Mike is as a leader. His energy is infectious, and his words and actions compel those around him to want to do more, to give back, and to make an impact. In fact, when addressing a pressing need in Brooklyn, we turned to Mike for assistance. Without hesitation, Mike and his AIG team rose to the challenge, helping to spearhead the launch of the VLP's Tax Lien Clinic, a pilot program aimed to assist as many families as possible to avoid losing their homes in tax lien foreclosures. In 2019, over 9,000 Brooklyn homeowners received a 90-day notice that their homes would be included on a tax lien sales list if no further actions were taken. Thanks to Mike and his team and under the guidance of VLP staff attorneys, we helped Brooklyn homeowners understand their options and avoid foreclosure. In 2020, amid the COVID-19 pandemic, over 10,000 Brooklyn homeowners have landed again on the tax lien sales list, disproportionately affecting communities of color. While Governor Cuomo has issued an executive order prohibiting tax lien sales until November 3rd, those on the list remain in jeopardy of foreclosure. Having established a program model with Mike and his team, we're now better positioned and prepared to help more Brooklyn homeowners avoid foreclosure. Mike joined the VLP board at a pivotal time in our history. As Brooklyn has evolved, so too has the VLP in these past 30 years. Our pro bono model, true to our core, has expanded, and Mike has been instrumental in helping to develop partnership projects and attend to the greatest legal needs of our community. With a keen understanding of the VLP's well-established and widely recognized consumer debt courthouse clinics, including the Civil Legal Advice and Resource Office and the Volunteer Lawyer for the Day program known as Claro and VLFD, Mike called upon his AIG team members, as well as his friend, Jim Hallowell at Gibson Dunn, to join us in providing critical legal services and advice and counsel to those most vulnerable. We could not have imagined a more effective and enthusiastic collaboration. Following an in-depth VLP training hosted by Jim at Gibson Dunn, AIG and Gibson Dunn attorneys, including Mike and Jim, eagerly began integrating weekly Claro and VLFD volunteering sessions into their schedules, assisting many Brooklyn residents on their consumer debt cases. As a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, Brooklyn families are facing even greater challenges. With increased unemployment and growing debts, the VLP's consumer law initiatives are even in more demand. Freeing a person of debt is life-changing, and our collaboration with Mike, Jim, and their teams could not be more timely. We are truly grateful for the AIG Gibson Dunn partnership, and their engagement will continue to play a pivotal role in the delivery of our services and in stabilizing a path for a better future for thousands of Brooklynites. For these reasons and more, it is a privilege and an honor to work alongside Mike as together we fight for access to justice for all. Mike's commitment and generosity are undeniable. He sets the bar high and always delivers, and he calls on others to do the same. And so tonight, Mike, on behalf of the VLP and those we serve, I thank you for your leadership, your friendship, and for amplifying the voices of those who are often so overlooked and unrepresented. Please join me in congratulating our Tradition of Excellence Award recipient, Michael W. Leahy.
Thank you very much, Heidi, and thank you to everyone at the VLP, to my fellow VLP board members, and to all those who have graciously supported the VLP in tonight's gala. I'm so honored that among these supporters are my boss and AIG's General Counsel, Lucy Fado, Yoon Lee, and a number of my other colleagues at AIG, and the many AIG law firm partners that have been so generous with their financial and other contributions. Thanks also to Chief Judge Lipman for his participation in this event and his always insightful and inspiring remarks. We all continue to owe him an enormous debt of gratitude for all he has done to make the New York courts function more efficiently and effectively, especially for those who struggle with access to justice, and for organizations like the VLP that seek to help them overcome that struggle. I also want to congratulate my co-honoree tonight, Jim Hallowell, and thank him for the contributions he and his firm have made to the VLP. Having personally seen Jim and Gibson Dunn time and again rise literally to every one of the many considerable challenges I've handed them over the years, it's been no surprise to see them bring so much to the table here in so little time, particularly in regard to the terrific work the firm has done with the VLP's consumer debt practice. On that topic, I also want to add that I have personally seen VLP attorneys Sidney Cherubin and Jenny Cook in action, counseling roomfuls of people seeking consumer debt advice during Claro sessions at the courthouse, and then advocating on their behalf in court. I have been so deeply impressed and heartened by that experience, impressed by their ability to quickly navigate large numbers of people through often dizzyingly complex factual and legal issues in order to help them and their families get back on their feet. And heartened to see two such dedicated attorneys who have made a decision to devote their considerable talents to this kind of critical work on behalf of our Brooklyn community. It is with this important work in mind that I thank you all for the generous contributions you've already made to the VLP, and humbly ask that you consider doing more in whatever way you can during these trying times where the needs of the clients the VLP serves have grown so dramatically. As you know, the VLP has a superb but relatively small team, and it relies very heavily on the commitment of the private bar to expand its reach and meet the growing needs of thousands of Brooklyn residents. So I ask all of you, first and foremost, to volunteer and contribute whatever time and talents you can to those efforts, and to encourage your friends and colleagues to do the same. You can start, as I did, for example, by assembling a team of lawyers to do the consumer debt training virtually, after which the VLP can provide shadowing opportunities either remotely or in person once the clinics are reintroduced to the courthouse calendar. I know when you see the kind of immediate, tangible difference good legal advice can make for the VLP's clients in their individual lives, it will inspire you and others to do far more. I also ask that you consider making an additional financial contribution tonight on top of what you've already so generously given in whatever amount you can muster. As you heard from Shamika, giving to the VLP this evening literally could not be any easier, and I encourage you to follow her instructions on giving via text. Even I can do it. I am confident that together, tonight, we will not only reach but surpass the VLP's $30,000 goal in honor of our 30th anniversary. Finally, and if you'll permit me to get on a bit of a soapbox of mine, I want to suggest another way many of us can indirectly help the VLP and other organizations like it in the course of our everyday professional activities dealing with commercial disputes here in New York. As some of you know, years ago, I was appointed by Chief Judge Lipman to serve on the New York Commercial Division's Advisory Council, where I was assigned to the Alternative Dispute Resolution Committee. The ADR committee is comprised of lawyers and judges, including last year's VLP Gala honoree John Kiernan at Debevoise. The committee has been working on a number of initiatives to promote the speedier resolution of commercial disputes through the earlier and more creative use of alternative dispute resolution processes like mediation, arbitration, neutral case evaluation, and various other hybrid ADR models. It's my firm belief that this effort not only stands to benefit commercial litigants looking to expeditiously resolve their disputes, but also the court system more generally by minimizing the number of large commercial cases clogging the dockets with extensive motion practice and discovery disputes, and freeing up resources for matters involving smaller individual disputes like those on which the VLP and its volunteers are focused. So I respectfully ask that those of you managing commercial disputes familiarize yourselves with and support the efforts of our ADR committee, and I'd be happy to help you out with that. But regardless, please do all you can to better facilitate early resolution of your disputes through the proactive and creative use of modern ADR tools. It will benefit you, it will benefit your clients, and it will benefit the broader community. To conclude, I want to thank the VLP again so much for this award, which I am truly thrilled and honored to accept. And I want to encourage everyone once again to continue your direct support of the VLP financially, as well as through your volunteer efforts. As I can personally attest, the VLP makes it all very easy and even fun. And in no time, you'll be helping people at home in our Brooklyn community in a very meaningful way. Thank you all. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy the rest of tonight's program.
And now, it is with great pleasure that I present this year's Dedication to Justice Award to James L. Hallowell, partner at Gibson, Dunn & Crutcher's New York office and member of the litigation group. Jim is a superb attorney, dedicated to his clients, his law firm, the public interest, and the legal profession, a true champion, advocate, and leader. He's an expert in his field with extensive experience in business and commercial litigation matters. As a trusted advisor and highly skilled litigator, Jim's well-respected legal career is one of extraordinary accomplishments and deserving of recognition and praise. But it's Jim's steadfast commitment to pro bono service and equal justice that we so proudly honor tonight. Jim has dedicated countless hours to pro bono and many noteworthy causes. His efforts were recognized in 2011 with a Commitment to Justice Award from InMotion, now Her Justice, which provides free family and immigration legal services to low-income women. He's a board member for the Fund for Modern Courts, an independent statewide court reform organization seeking to improve the judicial system for all New Yorkers. Jim joined the VLP family quickly and with such ease. And yes, Jim is family. It was just a year ago that Mike Leahy made the introduction, starting a dynamic partnership with both Jim and Gibson Dunn. It was no surprise that Jim instantly embraced who we are at the VLP, what we stand for, and our significant role in providing access to justice. His passion to help those most in need, coupled with a genuine interest in the VLP and advancing our mission, remains both inspiring and humbling. Jim is not one to sit on the sidelines and make a difference from afar. He leads by example with great energy, integrity, intellect, and care. It was therefore without hesitation that Jim accepted the opportunity to join Mike and his AIG team in partnership project with the VLP, a project that will have long-lasting impact on our clients in the Brooklyn community. Jim's understanding and compassion for what is at stake for our clients is evident and a true display of his social consciousness. His recruitment of fellow partners and associates in pro bono opportunities, such as he's done for the VLP, is a testament to who Jim is as a lawyer, mentor, and friend. His active participation encourages others to be equally engaged and true to form, Following our training, Jim was one of the first to sign up to volunteer for a Claro session, making way for others to follow suit. The collaboration forged by Jim and Mike is one that is transformational for the VLP and those we serve. When providing legal assistance to an individual on a consumer debt matter, it's not just about checking a box or filling out paperwork. Without our volunteers, thousands of individuals would be left to navigate the legal system on their own. And the clearing of one's debt is not just a transactional matter, it's a life-altering situation. As Brooklyn communities continue to face insurmountable changes and challenges as a result of COVID-19, it will be partners like Jim that we turn to, knowing that again, without hesitation, he'll be by our side doing everything he can to ensure those most vulnerable are provided with a path to a more secure and equitable future. Jim, on behalf of the VLP, thank you for your generosity, infectious enthusiasm, and leadership. From dedicated volunteer to frequent VLP event attendee, you've gone above and beyond to immerse yourself in our work and shine a light on those most pressing needs of our community. Please join me in congratulations to our Dedication to Justice Award recipient, James L. Hallowell.
It is a tremendous honor to receive the Dedication to Justice Award from the Brooklyn Bar Association Volunteer Lawyers Project. I want to thank everyone at the VLP for giving me this recognition. CEO Heidi Henderson, Board Chair Lynn Judell, and the entire VLP board, the co-chairs and host committee of tonight's event, and the staff and attorneys of the VLP all work tirelessly to provide access to the courts for so many underserved but deserving New Yorkers. There is no better example of dedication to justice than the people of the VLP. It is also an honor to receive this award alongside Mike Leahy, the head of litigation at AIG. Mike exemplifies the tradition of excellence. Everyone who works with Mike and the AIG litigation team he leads knows that their matters provide a chance to work at the highest traditions of legal practice. Those matters are always important, usually sensitive, and they require advocates to dig deeply into the facts and then make persuasive legal arguments, all while maintaining the highest standards of ethics and civility. Those are the hallmarks of Mike and the AIG litigation team: determined and responsible litigation with a focus on truly listening to the needs of the client. Also, a willingness to work with opposing counsel, keeping lines of communication open to achieve efficient and fair results. Perhaps most notably, Mike and his team place an emphasis on finding and utilizing alternatives like mediation and arbitration whenever possible, thus fostering settlement and preserving scarce state and federal court resources. So it is no surprise that Mike would fully embrace, with his usual vigor, the mission and focus of the VLP. That's because everyone who knows the VLP knows that it promotes the same tradition of excellence. Lawyers working with the VLP will get to handle matters that are always important and sensitive to the clients, and that require digging into complex facts and truly listening. They will get to make detailed and creative legal arguments that will genuinely make a difference. And in doing this, the VLP, like Mike and the AIG team, has set a standard of ethical, collegial, and efficient legal practice in the New York courts that preserves judicial resources and helps to assure that those courts work for the entire community. As we've heard, the work done by the VLP is truly extraordinary. Before the pandemic, I had the chance to work directly on VLP matters in the Kings County Civil Court, alongside Sydney and Jennifer and many other VLP lawyers and volunteers. Advocating on behalf of New Yorkers against overreaching debt collectors is inspiring. I can't think of a better way to make good on the promise that when people come to court, even in trying circumstances, they will get a fair shake. And as we've all heard, the VLP provides so many opportunities for lawyers to make a direct difference. Getting involved in any one of them is a great way to give back in a tangible way to our community. I urge you to do so. You'll be so glad you did. We know that the need for the VLP will not go away and will only increase with everything that we've experienced in 2020. The financial effects of the pandemic on the needy, including rising unemployment, barriers to adequate health care, and increased family instability, are bound to be with us for years to come. As the New York court system moves forward with innovative new ways to provide court access, the VLP will be there in collaboration with the courts to assist New Yorkers seeking access to justice. Please continue to financially support the VLP so it can continue this critical mission. I want to thank my wife, Julie, my son, Drew, my daughter, Allison, and my entire family, so many of whom have joined this virtual event, for supporting me and the VLP. It is a privilege to bring my family together with the VLP in this special way. I would also like to thank Rich Doran, Adam Offenhartz, and my entire Gibson Dunn family, who have supported me for more than 2 decades in everything I've done as a lawyer. Gibson Dunn wholeheartedly embraces the mission of the VLP, and it is clear that the ties between Gibson Dunn and the VLP are deep and enduring. We look forward to continuing our collaboration for many years to come. Congratulations on 30 years, VLP. The best truly lies ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Fashkin Jr. I'm an associate at Double Voice in Plimpton and co-chair and founding member of the VLP's Young Professionals Board. It is a true pleasure to be with all of you tonight, recognizing Mike and Jim and the essential work of the VLP. It was just over a year ago that I attended my first VLP Gala, where I was honored with the Champion of Justice Award. It was through that experience, as well as my prior involvement as a volunteer in the VLP's foreclosure clinic, that my connection to the VLP was solidified. And it's been truly wonderful working alongside Shamika Dige, my fellow YPB co-founder, who you met earlier this evening. We both look forward to laying the foundation for what we know will be a vibrant and productive addition to the VLP community. Just as Shamika made her first ask on behalf of the YPB, and Mike and Jim both so enthusiastically echoed her call to give, I too extend the same request. Let's do this together and help the VLP surpass its $30,000 goal in honor of the organization's 30th anniversary. I see that many of you have made a donation, but what we need is 100% participation. Please take out your phones and send a text to 970-840-9000. And in the message, please write VLP, space, the amount you wish to give, space, and then your name. Or if you'd like to remain anonymous, simply leave the last part blank and then press send. Or if you'd like, visit the VLP's website at brooklynvlp.org to make a gift online. But let's make this happen now. Let me provide that phone number and the guidelines again. Simply text 970-840-9000. And in the message, write VLP, space, the amount of your gift, space, followed by your name, or leave that last part blank. Then hit send. As a son of a now retired 1199 union member, I was especially grateful to hear about the VLP's COVID-19 Frontline Workers Initiative. To know that the heroes at the front lines will be provided with a level of security and comfort for themselves and their families during a time plagued with great fear and uncertainty. This speaks volumes of who the VLP is and where the organization's heart lies. Rapid response programs like the Frontline Workers Initiative, coupled with the VLP's holistic and robust approach to legal services, are only possible with the generous support from committed and compassionate individuals like yourselves. I know you will rise to the challenge. Thank you so very much. And now, please welcome back VLP Board Chair, Lean Judell, to close out the evening.
I hope that you have been inspired by this year's honorees. Mike and Jim truly represent the best of the VLP's mission and the legal profession. And what an amazing showcase of the VLP's longstanding commitment to justice, unique pro bono model, and rapid response initiatives. Our values continue to hold true and strong: respect, dignity, and the idea that equal access to the legal system must be afforded to all. With dynamic additions to the VLP's family like Shamika and Manny and the Young Professionals Board and all of our generous supporters, the VLP is poised for even greater transformational impact. And while we are facing such uncertainty and divisiveness throughout the world, I am comforted and genuinely energized by the outpouring of solidarity and support demonstrated tonight. Let's continue to embrace what we know. Together we are stronger. Together we are an impressive and undeniable force for justice. Let's answer tonight's call to action. I ask you to stand with the VLP and help elevate the voices of the most vulnerable members of our community. Volunteer with us. Make a gift. The time is now. On behalf of the board and the VLP, thank you all for such a special evening. Now, please join me in wishing the VLP a very happy 30th anniversary. Here's to another 30 years of compassionate, innovative, and impactful service to those most in need. May your leadership continue to guide us to a more just and equitable future. Thank you all, and good night.